Here we go, chapter 36. These things, as he said them, four tripudanting people, four dancers, to the beat of the symphony, procurred, they ran forth, and the superior part, the higher part of the trail dish, they abstulent and took away. With this done, we saw below the altitude of this lid, I'm guessing, under the lid, the top part's been taken away. We saw, this is a pig that's bred for to get really fat. So it's and a hare, which is a type of rabbit, in the middle, decorated out, and the wings as if of, so it would appear as Pegasus. So there was Pegasus was a flying horse. So they've made this hare and this pig to look like it. The lobe also mentioned some fowl, but I don't see any fowl there. We noticed even around the corners of the trail dish 4 Marcias. This is a satyr who plays a flute. So there's 4 of them, from the can be leather or even other stuff. It's the same as yesterday. It's the those little pouches. What do they call them? Entrails or bags or something like that. Anyway, it's got peppered flavouring, fish sauce here or a sauce from these little bags that they have. It's made out of bladders, etc. These are over some fish, so that's probably why it's fish sauce with fish. Just as they were native banting, which is floating or swimming, what's that, a riptide or something. We all gave applause, which was began by the family slaves, and the most choicest things, that's a superlative, we attacked laughing. Now there's a different word for channels, which is an alveus, and a canal is actually a canal, so you might want to Lewis and short that. Anyway, also, Trimachius, he was happy with this type of methodiums. A methodium is a trick or joke, or sometimes it can be an interjection of singing or something, but I'd say this little ploy that he's done here of having all this fake thing like the Pegasus. Anyway, he quits. He says, seize it. So immediately they proceeded. A pair of scissors came in. Somebody cuts things. Gesticulating again in beat to the symphony like these dancers had. And thus he started lacerating the provisions, cutting up the food that they've bought, so that you would think, here's someone on a chariot, was fighting. Okay, you'd think that there's fighting going on a chariot, probably in the arena. A hydraulic organ or something. They must have had some type of musical instrument in those days that could, based on water. He ingerabated, nonetheless, Trimacio. He kept on with this very soft voice. He was ingerabating words, I guess. Carpe, carpe again, which means seize, but it means cut up or carve it. I was suspicious to this type of urbane wit, so many times being iterated again. This wit pertained to these voice or words he was saying. So I didn't blush to ask him who was accumbing or lying down or sitting next to me or above me. I interrogated him with this very question itself. But he, who rather often had spectated game of this type of way or this type of thing, he said, "You see him," he said, who was taking the food, cutting the food. He's called Carpus. Thus, whenever he says carpe, it's the same word as a carver, and he's calling him with a vocative, and he's imperativing him, he's ordering him. 30 VII. I was not able any more further, Amplius, to taste anything, but having turned to him, I guess the guy was sitting above him, next to him, so that as much as possible I could receive, was he receiving? I began to summon from him stories which were longue, far-fetched as the English translation, and I began to ask to Skiskatare, who was this woman, she who, here and there, was running about. The Uxor, he said, the wife of Chimalakakio Onus, in the genitive. Her appellation, her name is Fortuna, and she measures out coins by the modio. Modio's a measurement or bushel. I don't know if you measure other things besides harvest and things by it, but anyway, in modo, and now, or just now, do you know what she was? Your genius. It's like your ingenium, that's your spirit or something. Mate, pardon me, you don't want to know, actually you wouldn't want to know, bread. You wouldn't want to have received bread from her hand. Nunc, now, nec quid, nec quare. It's for the what or why, sometimes quid's why as well, why and how come, maybe. She's left habited in Calum, so it's a bit strange. She's left heaven. That doesn't really make sense. She's left and gone into heaven. And she's Taponta est of Chimalako. I probably don't pronounce that CH. I usually say Chimarchio, but maybe it does have a ch in it. Tapanta just means everything, basically. Why do you think she's everything to Chimarka? Could be some other thing. Loeb says she's the Queen of Heaven, so I guess that's what they've done there. To sum it up, basically, if she says it's pure midday, and it's tenebrous and it's dark, he believes it. He himself doesn't know what he has, to such an extent that he's saplutus, which is Greek, I think, for being rich. But this lupatria, a loop can be it's a she-wolf, but it can be like a brothel woman or something as well. She foresees everything, and when, I guess it is you wouldn't think, and you won't know when she's going to foresee everything. Maybe ubi can mean where or when. In questions only means where though. She's dry, she's sober, she's a good plan, she's of good mind maybe. You see so much of gold. Nevertheless, she is of a bad tongue. Maybe she swears. Pica pulvaris. That's like a magpie or something. And pulvaris is the lounge. So the Loeb calls that she henpecks him when he's on his bench or on his couch or something. Whom she loves. I'll get rid of that control thing there. There we go. Whom she loves, One of the easiest sentences in Latin. Whom she not amats, she not amats. Trimarchio himself has farms, as many as milvae fly. They're kites. I guess they're like magpies as well. Nummos nummorum. Riches of riches, coins of coins. Millionaire of millionaire, as the Loeb puts it. Silver in the cellar or room of his ostarius. That's another one of his porters or servants. There's more lying than anyone has in their fortunes. But of his familiar, his slaves, baby. That's another interjection. Like, wow. By Hercules, I don't think a 10th part of his familiar of his slaves would even know their master. Okay, Daily Dictionary. A taponta, all things. Secretary and trusted person as well. Neuter plural. There's your ripio, which we saw. Channel or canal. I call it more of I think the Loeb calls it a tide. I call it like a rip tide or something maybe. Taponta again. There we go. To sum it up again, whoever from these rich peoples, he throws them or these other rich people into the leaves of a bitter herb or stinging nettle or something. Okay. So it's just all bragging about how rich he is and his wife.